Alright, so a pleasant afternoon to each and everyone. So today, I will be tackling about the Module 4, which is under the Lesson 2. This is all about the implementing a curriculum daily in the classroom. So by the way, this is just the continuation of Miss Mario Bugsad report. So before anything else, I would like to introduce myself. I am Antoinette Rosell, and I have some classroom rules that needs to be followed. First is to raise your hand to speak. Second, use kind words and actions. Third is to listen attentively. Fourth is to ensure your work is completed on time. And lastly is to stay safe and follow directions. So these are the learning objectives that needs to be attained for today's discussion. So at the end of the lesson, the student would be able to first is to explain the importance of using varied teaching strategies and cone of learning. Second is to apply appropriate instructional methods based on students' learning preferences, such as visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Third is to demonstrate a positive attitude towards adapting teaching strategies to enhance to enhance the students' engagement and learning outcomes. So these are the topics that needs to be tackled. So first is procedure or the methods and strategies. Second, students' learning styles. Third is the cone of learning, and lastly, we will be tackling about the guidelines for selecting instructional materials to support materials. So, before I am going to proceed with my discussion, I have some quotation here that teaching is not just about telling students information, but a teacher must use different ways to help students learn based on their needs and their learning styles. So, according to Corpus and Salandanan of 2013, so they enumerated the following approaches and methods which may be useful for different kinds of learners. So, some are time-tested methods, while others are non-conventional constructivist methods. So, Corpus and Salandanan, they have some made four teaching strategies and methods. So this will test on how a teacher will put life to the intended outcomes, and the subject matter that needs to be used depends on their content. So first is we have the direct demonstration methods. So when we say direct demonstration methods, this includes the guided exploratory, the discover approach, the inquiry method, the problem-based learning or the PBL, and the project method. So when we say direct demonstration methods, these methods are they emphasizes the hands-on learning, explorations, and problem solving. So they encourage learners to discover concepts on their own with the guidance of the teachers, of course. So when we say um, inquiry method, these are the methods that students are actively explore and discover new concepts through guided activities rather than the direct instructions. So from the word guided, so it means they are students are guided um, by the teacher. So when we say problem-based learning, so these are the methods that students are tend to solve real-world problems by adapting the knowledge and fostering critical thinking and collaboration. So these from the word problem-based learning, so they are able to think critically and broaden their knowledge on that specific questions or concept. When we say project methods, these are the methods that learners work on a project, such as mga scrapbooks, miniature, and that could be seen, physically. So next is we have the cooperative learning approaches. So this includes the peer tutoring, learning action skills, and the think, pair, and share. So when we say cooperative learning approaches, these are the approaches that emphasizes group work and peer collaborations, with helping students learn from each one another. So when we say peer tutoring, so these are the students that help each other and learn by teaching and explaining concepts to their colleagues or to their classmates or to their peers or to their seatmates. So when we say naman think, pair, and share, and I think this one is already familiar to all of you because we are able to apply this kind of method together with Sir Castor, and he was able to made this kind of activity that we are going to find a partner, and we would be able to share our ideas, concept, or knowledge about the specific about the specific questions that the Sir Castor has given to us. Okay, next is we have the deductive or the inductive approaches. So the this includes the project method, the inquiry-based learning. So when we say deductive or inductive approaches, so these are the approaches that focus on reasoning and logical thinking, either by introducing general principles first, which is the deductive, or the deriving principles from examples, which is the inductive. So this when we say this one is I already tackled about the project method and the inquiry-based learning. So let us proceed with the other approaches. These include the blended learning, the reflective teaching, the integrated learning, and the outcome-based learning. I mean approach. So these methods these are the modern methods that integrate technology. So no, in today's what do you call this? Um, in today's lesson of in today's way of teaching is that we are already integrated by the technology. So this includes so this includes the blended learning, no, during the blended learning. So during the pandemic time, we were able to experience this kind of learning since to avoid spreading mga viruses, di ba? Teachers are able to give us some modules to answer at home, and sometimes we are conducting our classes through online and through face-to-face. So this is what we call the blended learning. So next is we have the reflective teaching. So this encourages teachers and students to reflect on their own learning experiences to improve understanding and instructional methods. So these are just like reflecting their own knowledge and would be able to share it to the class. Next is we have the integrated learning. So when we say integrated learning, these are the combines multiple subjects into a cohesive learning experience, rather than just teaching them separately. So from the word integrate, so it means gina-combine sila to para ma-shorten yun siya na specific subject. So next is we have the outcome-based approach. So this approach focuses on clearly defining on learning outcomes and ensuring students achieve their specific competences. Next, let us proceed with the students' learning styles. So these are the common characteristics and the tips for teachers about the learners. So first is we have the visual learners. So they use graphs, charts, pictures, tends to remember things that are written in the form. So turn notes into pictures, diagrams, maps, learn the big pictures first, then details, and make mind maps and concept maps. So this, as we all know that we all have different kinds of learners, right? Yes. So there are learners that they observe the learning through through showing videos or showing pictures in order for them to observe the learning that you wanted to um, you wanted to um, you wanted to teach with them. Second is we have the auditory learners. So these are the recalls information through hearing and speaking. Prefers to be told how to do things orally and learn aloud. So for the tips for the teachers about the learners, record lectures and listen to these repeat materials out loud. So they call it parrots because you need to read aloud. So of course there are learners that they prefer auditory, like they want to hear, they want to they learn the lessons through hearing. So just like for example mga radio bass or mga your turn speaker, and by that they would be able also to observe the 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 learning that you wanted to teach to them. And lastly is we have the kinesthetic learners. So these prefer mga hands-on approach, demonstrate how to do rather than explain. So eat while studying, like group work with hands-on mind. So they learn something while doing another thing. So eat while studying. So work while standing, like field work, do many things at one time. So these are the kinesthetics. So these are the peoples that are really hands-on learning. So just like for example, no, just like we did Kamam Shay, di ba? Some I think some of our classmates are unable to ma-absorb na itong mga hatag ni ma'am na literature na para ato i-interpret. So by that i-interpret. So by that through demonstrating it through demonstrating it, we were able to absorb some steps that needs to be that are properly executed. So next is why is instructional material important? Of course, no, it is very important that instructional materials are it serves as a tools that help students to learn better, and teachers use them to make lessons more interesting and easy to understand. So through instructional materials, we would be able to absorb the learning that the teacher wanted to give to us, or we will be able to masabtanda nato sila nan dali. So here are the examples of the instructional materials. So first is we have the books and the print materials such as mga textbooks, worksheets, and charts. Second is we have the mga visual aids. So this includes mga pictures, mga maps, flashcards, and videos. Third, we have the audio materials such as mga recordings, song, or some stories that are audio materials. Next is we have the hands-on materials such as mga science experiment kits, art supplies, counting blocks to make your class engaging and at the same time motivating. Lastly is we have the technology. Of course, this is very rampant already in today's generation of education because this is just like murag sumpay na sa kinabuhi nato, no? But of course, it's also important to we stick also onto the traditional learning that naanda nato. These includes the educational websites such as mga apps, PowerPoint presentations to make our class to make our class engaging and colorful at the same time. Alright, so let us now proceed to the cone of learning. So what is cone of learning? So when we say cone of learning, it is also known as Edgar Dale's cones of experience. It is a visual model that illustrates how learners retain information based on the type of learning or experience they encounter, with hands-on experiences at the base of the cone leading to the higher retention. So how much do students remember Dale's cones of learning? So as you can see here, as you can see there, these are the after 2 weeks we tend to remember. So these, the 10%, 20%, 30%, 50%, 70%, 90%, these are the retention. So dito dito mo mababase kung kaano magtatagal yung learning na na-absorb natin o makukuha natin galing sa ating guro. So, so 10% of what we read is reading. So, the nature of involvement, that is verbal receiving. So, next is we have the reading. So, just like for example, during the pandemic time, di ba, we were able to give, we were able to experience mga modules, right? So, by the modules, nagbabasa lang tayo, ngunit 10% lang pala natin na-absorb yung learning na 10% lang pala 10% lang pala nagtatagal at murag dali da siya na madali lang siya nating makakalimutan. So since this is just 10%. So second is we have the 20%. So what is in 20%? That is the way that we hear or hearing words. So when the teacher is conducting a class, so murag 3 to 5 hours nakakalimutan agad natin yung tinuturo ng guro sa atin. So that is just 20% of we hear from, that is based on the Dale's cones of experience. So next is we have the 30%. 30% is na-absorb natin yung na nakikita natin na itinuturo ng ating guro, is 30% lang pala yung nakikita natin ng mga pictures or mga visual aids. So 30% lang siya. So 30% murag dali dagi hapon siya madali lang din siyang nakakalimutan natin. So 50% naman is what we see and what we hear. So this includes mga watching a movie, looking at an exhibit, or watching a demonstration, or seeing it done on location. So parang combination siya ni 20% at ni 30% na nakikita at the same time naririnig natin. So that is the visual receiving. So from 10% to 50%, these are just mga passive na sila na mga learnings or mga retention na naa-absorb natin. So sa 70% naman is what we say. Ito yung mga sinasabi natin. So participating in a discussion or giving a talk. So we tend to dugay-dugay ganino. We tend to learn gamayay siya with dakuay through saying or through sayings, diba? Just like for example when we are given a chance to when we are given a chance to explain on that particular questions, and we were able to express our own thoughts, our ideas, or our own critical thinking or knowledge. So 70% is na-absorb natin yung learning based kay Dale's cones of experience. So 90% naman is what we say and do. Ito yung mga sinasabi natin at the same time ginagawa natin. So these are just like so this includes doing a dramatic presentation, simulating the real experience, or doing the real thing. So we tend to matagal natin nalilimutan yung mga bagay na gina-experience na nato in a real world situations. So that is according kay Dale's cones of experience. So 90% natatagalan siya 90% nawawala siya sa ating isip or sa utak natin. So that is the doing. So per so active ang ating mga ating mga um ginaingon, and at the same time 90% naman yung mga sinasabi natin, at the same time yung mga ginagawa natin. So those are mga active retention. And next is we have the guidelines for selecting instructional support materials. So first is use direct purpose experience. So learning by doing retains almost outcomes of the 90% retention. As I have said earlier, yung mga real world scenarios na ating mga ginagawa ay 90% na a-absorb natin, at matagal siyang mawawala sa ating utak or sa ating isip. So second is the participation in class activities such as mga discussions and reportings. So learners say, write, and so that is I also mentioned that 70% of the retentions, that yung mga sinasabi natin, so nagtatagal siya. So next is we have the passive participation. So those are yung mga watching movies, viewing exhibits, and demonstration retain about 50% of the learning na naa-absorb natin galing sa ating guro. So next is still images, pictures, paintings, illustrations, drawings, or retentions. So those are mga 30% of the retention lang yung naa-absorb natin. So next is we have the listening or lecture, sermons, monologues. Only 20% of the information is being retained or yung naa-absorb natin. Next is we have the reading. So that is yung mga binabasa lang natin. So madali natin silang nakakalimutan kasi nagbabasa lang tayo. So these are also the methods. So now let us proceed with the methods and materials that must implement the plan. So taking actions, finding out what has been achieved. So assessing achieved outcomes. So at the end of the activity, the teacher should determine if the intended learning outcomes or the ILO have been converted into achieved learning outcomes. So test, of course, at the end of the lesson or the discussions, you would be able to incorporate these kinds of strategies and learnings, and you would be able to conduct an assessment if your teaching strategies or methods is effective. So I think that's the end of my discussion. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have learned something from me.